Hey everyone, please take me seriously today when I talk about me being a complete fool at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. Yeah, that's right, I am Flec the Fool, and this is a new character I'm trying out this year at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. I played around with the character a couple times already so far, and I'm very satisfied with the direction I'm going in with the character, and it's got a lot of potential for future growth, more jokes, more relevance to the festival overall, being a jester from the Elizabethan age. It's wonderful. It's more appropriate, I feel, and more acceptable than the character I've been playing for a long time, which I called Flec the Wanderer. Flec the Wanderer is a character that I started being sometime around 2005. And I started being Flec the Wanderer because I was doing the art of contact juggling at the time. I was just starting. I was fresh at this whole entire contact juggling performance art stuff. And I saw an opportunity to work at the Michigan Renaissance Festival using my art and finding a way to make a living off of doing this art because I loved doing it so much, and I thought that it was a very special opportunity to work at the Michigan Renaissance Festival to collect tips for being an entertainer and so on and so forth. And the way I thought that I could fit into the festival was I thought I could blend in with the Middle Eastern dance ensemble and the belly dancers, because I always had an appreciation for the art of belly dancing, just the human body in general and the female form especially. I thought that playing off the archetype of the crystal ball as well as the turban mystere of all that sort of stuff, some people might call it Orientalism or cultural appropriation perhaps even. And there's a lot that goes into it, and it's a lot to wrap my mind around because I started doing this at the Renaissance Festival before I even heard of what cultural appropriation was, or Orientalism for that matter, or glamorizing or romanticizing a culture and then ultimately misrepresenting it altogether. So with that being considered, I wear this turban and I wear a vest and some harem pants, and I've been doing the contact juggling there for years. And to be honest, I haven't had that many complaints. The amount of complaints I've had have been less than I can count on all 10 of my fingers. In fact, I can only think of 6 that really struck a chord with me when someone confronted me about wearing the turban and doing the crystal balls and making certain jokes sometimes that were, looking back, probably not best in taste, but you try your best to be funny and you try your best to make people laugh, and then you sometimes stick your foot in your mouth realizing, hey, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I have decided that I would like to more or less retire Flec the Wanderer as a character. Before I called myself Flec the Gypsy, and I don't like using that word. It's probably the last time I'll use it on any of these videos I made. I think it's actually the first time I've used that name on any of my videos so far, because in previous videos I didn't even bother saying it, but I think it's worth saying. It's worth talking about the word as it actually is instead of hiding behind it and being in denial that it's actually a word that people use. Now, I don't like using the word now that I know better, that it's a derogatory term. Across Europe, all over the place, and in parts of Asia, the term gypsy is a derogatory term that refers to the Romani people, a traveling group of people, nation of people, or culture of people, multicultural, multiracial. It's like a blending of culture going as far east as China and India and as far west as Western Europe, really. And these people have been moving and migrating all over the place for, well, thousands of years. Thousands of years, in fact. I know a little bit about the culture, I must take that back, but not nearly enough to be representing it. So I stepped away from the term gypsy because it's derogatory and it refers to something I don't know anything about, nor am I qualified to represent in any way. And I thought it would just fit some sort of blank archetype of some wanderer from the Far East who has his crystal ball and does fortunes and things like that. So in consideration of all of those different things, it's been fun playing Flec the Wanderer for all these years, and it has been a large part of my identity, believe it or not, doing various shows and performances all around the southeastern Michigan area, as well as perhaps even Key West, Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana, sometimes even in Chicago or New York City. Other big cities where I've been at, even if just for a little while, and I put on my costume and went out and juggled my spheres for tips while on the street. And yeah, it's only been about 6 different complaints that I remember people talking to me about cultural appropriation, how I'm doing something that's offensive or potentially offensive to other people. And the funny thing is that all of those complaints have come from people who are white, which is very interesting to consider where the complaints are coming from. Perhaps the reason only white people have stepped forward to tell me what I'm doing is offensive is because the people of color or people of other cultures other than mine who are offended by what I'm doing don't feel like it's even worth the time to address the issue because they feel it might fall on deaf ears. Because for a little while it did fall on deaf ears and I really didn't pay it any mind because I didn't feel like I was actually poking fun at any one particular culture or group of people or race or anything like that. I don't think that's cool. I don't think that it's appropriate to do that in any way. However, what I think is racist or culturally appropriating or not culturally appropriating doesn't really matter in this sense. In my humble opinion, I think what really matters is the people who feel like their culture is being misrepresented. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Now, I have had a lot of people tell me, hey, Flec, you shouldn't worry about that. You should keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. You're not being offensive. You're doing yada, yada, yada. Yeah, okay, that's cool and all that. But I can be funny, I can be clever, I can be entertaining, and I can be a quality human being and a quality performer without having to wear this turban or having to play Flec the Wanderer as a character anymore. I think it's a little dated. And truth be told, I want to challenge myself more as an artist. I want to move forward with myself as an artist and try new things. And that's why I think being Flec the Fool would not only be a lot more relevant to performing at a Renaissance festival, but it also gives me access to so many more good jokes and so many more bad jokes too. Not only does it make me more relevant to the festival, but I'm also kind of a clowny kind of person at my core. I love bad jokes. I love good jokes even more, but I like bad jokes too. Even the worst jokes out there can get a little chuckle out of me. That may or may not work in my favor as an entertainer, but I'm learning more and more about what's universally funny, what other people find funny, and I'm trying to work off of that. But hey, for better or for worse, I think this is a better way to go for the Michigan Renaissance Festival and just for my performance art in general. I like lighthearted humor. I want people to walk away from my show with feelings of levity and with joy and with, wow, that guy was really ridiculous, but hey, he was pretty good at doing that, that juggling or that tightrope walking or that fire stuff. Also, I have this plan to make a little scepter of my head, like try to make a 3D printing of my head or something like that, mouth that I can control with my thumb. So a little scepter about this big, maybe smaller, and I can pull on the thumb and move its jaw around, and I can do very, very bad ventriloquism with it. It's my goal to do this. I want to make this scepter, make it happen, because there's so many opportunities to make a better quality show when I can do some banter back and forth with something that I can always count on to do the punchline the way I want to do it. Or maybe not. Maybe sometimes I mess up my lines. I don't have a set, solid script more often than not. I like to go off of what the audience is doing and kind of play off of that. And the whole element of play comes back again with the Flec the Fool character. I think it could be a lot of fun. So in consideration of all that, I found myself going back and forth between Flec the Fool and Flec the Wanderer the past couple weekends at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. And the trouble with that is that you use different jokes when you're presenting yourself as a different character. And when I'm Flec the Fool, I have this little bit of rhetoric where I talk about a gesture's gesture. And a gesture's gesture is not just your ordinary gesture. It's a gesture that encourages the audience to respond with hooting and hollering and applauding your show. And I like to remark about how that fills up dead space in my show in a lighthearted way and recognize when the audience is actually involved with my show and how much they're emotionally invested in the show and how much they choose to participate in the show. And it makes it a lot more fun for everyone else with all the audience making more noise, more people come up and watch the show. And it actually works when you involve yourself with the audience and you interact with the audience, get them to get involved and make noise every once in a while, and you can give them an opportunity to make the noise when it's appropriate to do so, and that's the whole point of the gesture's gesture. It was actually pretty effective. I'm really glad I took the time to write it out one day when I was working and I thought about it and I had this little notebook in my pocket. I was like, a gesture's gesture is not just your ordinary gesture because of all the play on words and everything. One of the goals I like to have with this character long term is having a bunch of different rhetoric and poems, alliterations and rhymes and beats and bars. And speaking in rhymes ultimately is the ultimate goal, to be able to just speak in rhymes all of the time unless I purposefully don't rhyme something on purpose for the sake of humor. And also to have that gesture scepter that can yell at me whenever my rhymes or my jokes aren't really good. I think it could be a lot of fun. Now my name is Flec, I can name it Flick, Flec and Flick, and sometimes when I'm not really funny, Flick will flick me. Kind of like reminiscent of Punch and Judy, the classic puppet show. If you don't know what Punch and Judy is, it's a classic puppeteer show, and that's exactly where we got the term punch, because the character Punch liked to punch other people in the show. So that's how we got the word punch. So as I went back and forth between these two characters, you can probably imagine that sometimes I would trip over my lines and confuse the characters together. I might say something that was canned material that is funny under a certain circumstance. If I am wearing a turban and I'm talking about my magic carpet and how it broke down. Broken down magic carpet with a jester nearby is not nearly as funny or relevant, or why would a jester be talking about their magic carpet? Now perhaps a mystic from the Far East who's wearing a turban might have something to do with a magic carpet, but a jester? No, not really. A jester has a jester's gesture, not a magic carpet. You see what I mean? There's differences in what you can get away with when you play different characters as far as humor is concerned. And I've access once again to more jokes as the jester, but I don't have access to niche jokes as Flec the Wanderer, which once again I feel is outdated concept. So with all that, I was performing as a jester one morning and I had a very small crowd, my first show of the day, and I just wasn't doing so well. I was a little flustered. I had a lot going on mentally and internally. Before the show started, I felt rushed to get on stage to get things going. My rigging didn't quite turn out the best way. I had 6 people and it got down to 2 people that looked very uncomfortable that I'm just yelling at them, and not yelling at them, but I'm trying to like direct my show at them and at the same time trying to pull more people in. And it was just awkward and forced and not natural, and I think that was showing with a lot of people, and that's why people weren't stopping and watching. So I recognized that as it was happening, fortunately, and I started relaxing, and then more people started coming in. We got about 12 people in the show, including one person who was walking around with a piece of like wood about this big and was doing something. I presume they were sketching, and that turns out to be exactly what they were doing. And throughout the show, this drawing was drawn of me, TheAmazingFlec, or Flec the Fool, juggling the spheres there, by an artist named Krur, K-R-U-R, in 2021. And this person did this sketch, and at the end of the show, within 20 minutes, gave me this sketch after the show. And for that being my worst show I've done the whole entire season, that I was the least proud of, that I misfired my lines, I used the wrong jokes for the wrong character, and the awkwardness at the beginning, and all of that being considered, that helped make my show enjoyable and made it memorable to me. Otherwise, I would have buried it in the recesses of my subconscious and just cringed anytime it crawled back into my forefront of my brain. Another thing that really saved that show too was a wonderful human that goes by the name of Top Hat. Was a fellow that I met at Starwood Festival earlier this year, and this person dropped their wallet on the ground and they lost it Saturday night, and I picked it up and I figured out who owned the wallet, and I returned the wallet to them about 12 hours after they dropped it, and they were very, very appreciative of that. And they were so appreciative, in fact, that they drove all the way from New York State to the Michigan Renaissance Festival, I think about 6-hour drive, he said, just to see my show. And he happened to see the worst show I've done the whole entire season, and he tipped me. He tipped me the most generous tip out of anyone there. Obviously, he saved the show for me as far as the financial end of things goes, because you feel pretty worthless after you do a show and you get like some change, like less than $1 from the whole crowd. That tells you you didn't do something right. But he flipped a $20 bill inside my tip basket, and I got a number of other singles from other people, and I think I got a 5 in there too. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. The point is that it made me feel special that this person came all the way from New York just to see my show, just to say hi, to say thank you, and to tip me after doing the worst job I've ever done. He felt for me. I think he understood that I was struggling to get through that show, but he also said that he legitimately had a good time, and I did the best I could. I did my contact juggling. I did the rope walk. I got up and down the rope safely and sound, and I finished up the act, and everyone applauded. And I guess we are our own worst critics when it comes to being artists. Anyways, folks, thanks for listening to my rant about the struggles of being an artist and changing and evolving and switching from one character to another, stepping outside of your comfort zone and all that jazz. When I mean I mean me, because I'm obviously talking about my own experience as being a character actor at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. But if you've seen my shows at the Michigan Renaissance Festival, or you've seen me here on my YouTube channel, now you know a little bit more about what I do at the Renaissance Festival, and vice versa, you know a little bit more about what I do here on my YouTube channel. I just like to speak openly about who I am and what I'm going through mentally as an artist and my struggles as an artist, and trying to connect out there with other artists and inspire other artists ultimately is what I would like to do, because I'm inspired by so many different artists, so many different genres of music, so many different mediums of art, so many different styles of art, and different ways of presenting material, so many different styles of comedy. The world is an amazing place. We have so many different kinds of people out there that express themselves in different ways. It's a beautiful, diverse world, and it's worth celebrating. And I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to some dude in Detroit on his paisley couch with yellow walls behind him wearing a jester cap, telling you a little bit about his personal situation and his struggles as an artist and as an entertainer, a live entertainer, performance artist. So with all that being said, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. I made videos every single day for the year of 2021, and I've organized all of the videos I made so far into different playlists to make it easier for people to find something that may pique their interest, because I'm a chaotic poster. I don't have a steady focus. I'm an agent of chaos, if you will. One thing I do consistently, though, is I teach people how to teach themselves various circus and flow art skills, mostly including the art of the contact juggling, what I'm best known for in the southeastern Michigan area. So if you are not new to my channel, you've heard me say this 1,000 times if you've seen any other videos, because I plug this in a lot, because this is what I'm ultimately trying to do, is share my craft and share my art with other people out there. I don't necessarily want to ruin the magic, but at the same time, I've gotten so much out of this, and I love sharing it with other people. And I actually also sell these balls here on my channel, so there will be a link in the description down below if you're interested in purchasing any spheres. I bought a bunch of them in bulk, and I sell them at the Michigan Renaissance Festival, and I also sell them through my email at TheAmazingFlec@gmail.com. So if you're interested in purchasing a sphere, you get all the free lessons here on my channel that teach you how to teach yourself how to do many different things with crystal balls, many different things with these acrylic spheres. They're made of bulletproof glass, so they're not as fragile as crystal balls, and they're actually lighter than crystal balls. So yeah, that's my shtick, that's my spiel. Thanks again for watching all of the very, very end. Now we are finally done. Words of unsolicited advice, and they're this. Remember to never give up, and to do your best, and to stay true to you, and to be amazing, folks. And what I mean by be amazing is to be the best version of exactly who you are. That's it. Thanks again for watching, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.